So let us implement subjects in this and see how the communication can be done in a better way. We'll stick to the same. We'll pass a value and we receive it in this component TypeScript, and you do the set method of the post service. This is fine. In post service, what we need to do is we need to declare a subject. So instead of making this a subject, what I can do is I'll use a new one. Private, I say subject equal to new subject of type any for the moment, and in the set message we are receiving the message into the post variable, and what we do is we say this dot subject dot next is the method that we use, in which we pass the post. So we don't need this, this will comment for the moment. So this is how you use a subject. You create a subject using new subject, and then using the next method you hold the value, or you pass the value that you want to be passed on to or moved on to another component. And in another component what we say is we say return this dot subject dot as observable, and you say observable, its return type is observable of type any. So this is how you change your code. So you could declare a subject and you set the message in that subject, and then you pass that subject as an observable, and in component 2 you will receive it. So to receive it, I don't need this onGet method now. I don't need to click every time. So I'll remove this particular thing completely. Now in here I say in ng on init I say this dot the service post service dot get post, and you subscribe, again subscription, and you receive the message, we call it as post, and you assign it to this dot component 2 equal to the post that you received. Now if you save everything, if I type something hi component 2, you get it over here. Component 1 says hi component 2. If you want to remove this interpolation, that's fine. ng model, okay, and then this is component 1, press enter, and you see this is component 1. So the moment when I click enter, I am getting this value passed from this component to this component, and the relation could be anything. Either they could be sibling, the one which is in now we are using sibling related components, or it could be any other relation, no relation at all, but still the passage of value from one component to another component is possible through subjects. And when using subjects, one other thing you need to consider is when you receive this component or the subject over here, you need to say subscription of type subscription. We need to use this because memory leaks should not occur. I say this dot subscription equal to all this, and at the end of this component, when the destruction happens on destroy ng on destroy, you say this dot subscription dot unsubscribe. This is a good programming practice to do the unsubscription as well. This will not make your application do all memory leaks, so it's a recommended way. So we have seen both observables and subjects. Now in this session we'll see and understand what is the difference between them. Now to explain in theoretical terms, observables and subjects are like multicast and unicast. Observables are multicast and subjects are unicast. When a subject produces an event, all of its subscribers will receive same data or same event, which is called as unicast. Whereas when an observable produces an event, then its subscribers will receive separate events, which is called as multicast. Now to explain this theoretical concept, we'll take up a small example and we'll work on this practically. I'll start with a observable creation. I say my observable equal to new observable, and I use the observer and I say observer dot next, and I pass some value like math dot random. So some random value will be passed. Now to this I need to subscribe, so I say my observable dot subscribe, and I get that value, I receive it at V, and I say console log v1 comma v. Now if I save this, I'll be receiving that value v1 with some value on it. Now what I'll do is I'll continue subscribing and I say v2, likewise v3, v4 and v5. So v3, v4 and v5. Now if I save this, you see 5 different values. It's not the same value that was distributed to the second subscription, third subscription and fourth and fifth subscription. It was 5 different values that was given to 5 subscriptions. Now I'll say console log and some division, like I'll have all these lines, and down below I create a subject to which I say const my subject equal to new subject, and I can give the generic as number, but that's not very important. And to this subject, now what I'll say is I'll subscribe my subject dot subscribe, and I'll get the value. I say console log v1 comma value. Now if I save this, see the output. Okay, so here is another difference actually. I need to then say my subject dot next and then give value like math dot random, and I save this. Now if I see, I get a different value, and if I do few more subscriptions, 3, 4 and 5 altogether, 2, 3, 4 and 5, if I save it, now let us see the values. For observable it was different values, whereas for subject it's a same value. So one single subject and different subscriptions, 5 different subscriptions, the value is same, but one single observable, 5 different subscriptions, 5 different values. So this is one difference that I can show between observables and subjects. Again, to repeat, observables are multicast. That's the reason why you see multiple variables to multiple subscriptions, whereas subjects are unicast, one single value to multiple subscriptions. This is one difference. And the other difference I can say is observables are cold and subjects are hot. Now what do I mean by cold and hot? Cold type, which means they are lazy and won't run till any subscription is found. So I generate a value, I create an event, and this event will not be subscribed or will not be received till I do a subscription. This is the reason why we call observables are lazy or cold. Only when you have a subscription, only then this value will be received. Whereas subjects are hot, which means they start emitting events. If there is no subscription, you lose the value, and for the subscriptions done after the event are lost. Like, let us see the difference between hot and cold now, and I think you people might have understood the difference between basic difference between observable and subject, that is multicast and unicast. Now we'll try to understand the difference between hot and cold. Cold anyhow I cannot explain further, but let us understand what hot observables are, that is subject. So I'll change this program, and now what I'll do is I'll have my subject as it is, and my subject dot subscribe, and I'll leave this subscription. Now I'll remove all these subscriptions and we'll have them as per the requirement. And here, instead of passing a value, I'll pass some text like 1. And later I do another, I pass another value and call it as 2. Now I don't want this for the moment. So if I save it, this subscription will be receiving these 2 values. You please observe, I'm doing the subscription first and then the value. I'll remove this one as well. Now see, I'll receive value 1. Value 1. But what if I do this way? I'll first emit the event and then I'll do the subscription. This is what the difference comes for hot variables. These emitted events will not be received if your subscription is a bit late. Now you see, I receive nothing. So hot observables, they need the subscription first. If you want to receive the data from the beginning, make sure you subscribe at the initial stages, and later on whenever an event happens, you won't miss any event. If you subscribe it a bit late after some events have occurred or something like this, and I say 2 and I say 3 and I say 4 after this, so what does this mean? I am losing 3 events and I only receive the 4th event, because before the 4th event happens I've started my subscription. Now see the output, you'll receive only 4. So you lost the above 3 events. This is what hot observables are. Hot observables, like the moment you create a hot observable, emitting gets started and you lose all those events until you do a subscription. Once you do a subscription, from there onwards you will receive the events. Whereas cold observables, when you emit an event, if there is no observable or if there is no subscription for that observable, this won't be received. This is a cold observable, and these are hot observables. Subjects are hot observables. Now, after understanding the difference between observables and subjects, in this session we'll see the types we have in subjects, and I'll be discussing the two types of subjects. One is behavior subject and the other is replay subject. And we'll start with behavior subject. It can be created with a start value. So if I modify this, I'll say behavior subject and it starts with value. I think behavior subject, and I say 0. It starts with a value, which is not possible with observables. It's very difficult to perform the same with observables. The subscribers to behavior subject will automatically receive the last stored value. Now what I can say with this is, for V1 or this subscription, we'll lose, if it is the case of subject, we'll lose all this data and then we'll receive only 4. Now we'll see what is the output for V1. If I save this, so for V1 it is taking 3 and 4. V1 takes 3 and 4. So that's what I said. It will automatically receive the last stored value. For subject, you won't receive any of these. It is only this one that will receive if it is the case of subject. I'll comment this and make it a subject. Now if I save it, let us see. I didn't save it. Let us see the previous output. V1 took 3 and 4. Now if I save it, let us see what V1 takes. V1 takes only 4. So all other things are lost. Whereas behavior subject, you take the last one and the next one after the subscription. Now if I save it, you see 3 and 4. So this is what a behavior subject is. Now continuing with the same thing, let us understand what replay subjects are. Replay subject can send old values to new subscribers. Here it is only 3 in case of behavior subject. Whereas with, I'll comment this one and I'll have replay subject, and this actually I can pass nothing. I can pass an argument also, but let us see what happens if I pass no argument. It says replay subject description can be said like it can send old values to new subscribers. If I save it, does V1 receive old events? Let us save it and see. V1 takes 1, 2, 3 and 4. So if it is a subject, I lose all this. If it is a behavior subject, I lose only these two and I receive the very last one. And if it is replay subject, I am receiving all those that happened right after creation of that replay subject, and the next one anyhow that comes into execution. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I pass an argument like 2 and I save it, now see, I'll be receiving only the last 2, and this one I'll 2 and 3. I'm ignoring, or I'm losing this one. So this is what a replay subject is.